Night City Wire for Cyberpunk 2077. I'm here in LA, and we are excited to get things started. So let me give you a bit of a rundown of what's going to happen. We are going to watch Night City Wire live here in about 13 minutes. So that's going to be about a 25-minute presentation from CD Projekt Red. But if you're watching on the regular channels, what you're going to miss is what comes after. And I'm going to come back because I got to play through the game for over 4 hours yesterday. And I'm going to be able to talk about it at 9:30 Pacific, so sort of like right after basically the CD Projekt stream ends. We're going to go into me talking about playing the game. Lots of journalists from around the world had a chance to play it, but I'm going to get to tell you about my experience, what it was like. Literally started the game from the beginning of the game and played for 4 hours, and I'll get to talk to you about that, which is really cool. And we've also got a ton of additional footage that CD Projekt provided to me, which I'm sure some of it will be similar to what's in the event. But we have, I think it's like 26 minutes of more gameplay footage, which is all brand new stuff that I'll get to show you guys as well. So I didn't get to film my personal playthrough, but a lot of the footage they provided will allow me to illustrate that. So I can't say much more, but there's a lot of Cyberpunk coming today, and I think Night City Wire is going to have new aspects of the game that they're going to talk about that I got to play that I can't tell you about. But it's really fun to play. It felt like a brand new game, brand new IP, really, in many ways. So anyways, I can't say much right now, but I did get some cool swag from CD Projekt Red that I can show you, so let me grab that. I got this cool, I think I put this on Twitter, but you guys probably saw this, but this is the Street Kid backpack. I don't think there's anything in it. I should double check, actually, because I haven't opened it yet. Nope, nothing in it. But that's the Street Kid backpack that they gave me, so that was kind of fun. That came. I got a...
Hi guys, welcome to the stream.
Sweatshirt. They always have really cool
got about 12
merch.
minutes to go before it gets underway.
I played it before launch, just to make you guys officially jealous. Cyberpunk back there. And what's cool here is if you open this up.
Got me Cyberpunk samurai shirt on, guys.
So, we'll click on it. Always a little gadgets.
Pretty keen to check more of this game out. Looking forward to its release later in the year.
And these are the 3 life paths that you basically pick at the beginning of the game. You guys don't know. There's Corporate, there's Nomad, and then there's this one I played as a Street Kid. It's the Street Kid backpack. So I put a poll on Twitter, but you guys in the chat, guess. Oh, wait. Which one did I play? Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad? Vote now, and you will find out at the bottom of the hour which one I played as, and I'll tell you about my experience and how different I think the other paths are. I only got to play one of the paths, so I'm sure there'll be other journalists in media that pick different paths, and they'll probably have different things to talk about from it. So, anyways, it's pretty cool that Cyberpunk is coming out this year, as you guys probably know. Got unfortunately delayed again until November is the latest release date that they are talking about for it. Let's see here, we're about 9 minutes and 47 seconds away from the Cyberpunk event, just so you guys are aware of it. Turn the volume down a little bit there. But so, yeah, Cyberpunk is coming out in November. One thing that you may also have noticed is that it's going to be compatible with the new generation of consoles. So, this year, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are both coming out. They haven't announced dates beyond kind of holiday this year, but widely assume that they will probably come out in November, if not before then. Who knows this year with the pandemic going on. But then when Cyberpunk pushed to November, a lot of people wondered naturally, well, what's going to happen there? Like, if I buy a new console, am I going to be able to, is it going to be compatible, first of all? Which is the case. So if you buy a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, Cyberpunk, the game, is going to work on it. And this is a unique generation in that, there's going to be forwards compatibility, backwards compatibility, and everyone's trying to figure out how that's all going to work. But the basic idea is Cyberpunk you're going to be able to play on, whatever console you have later this year, and of course on PC. It's going to look great. I played it on PC. They actually did this cool streaming technology since we can't really go anywhere with in-person events. So I played the game on PC with a controller is how I played it. But of course, it's coming to PC and console in November. So the game we've seen a lot of it over the years. Certainly remember some great E3 demos. Two in particular that CD Projekt Red has done around this game, and of course last year, big moment with Keanu Reeves coming out on stage to introduce his character, Johnny Silverhand, in the game. So we will hear more about the game from CD Projekt Red in about 8 minutes now. Last thing that I did with these guys, you may remember back at Game Awards. We had a soundtrack announcement. Really cool to have Grimes on stage performing and premiering her song 4 a.m., which is featured
not long to go, guys.
in the game, and Grimes will actually be involved in the game as well. So they got an amazing soundtrack for this. Run the Jewels is involved, a bunch of other really cool artists and bands that'll be a part of that. I don't know if they're going to talk about that today or not. But that was the last thing we did was back at Game Awards when we didn't get any really much new footage of the game, but we got to show you guys a little bit of the music and the world of Cyberpunk, which is extremely rich and detailed. And again, it's a little hard for me because there's so much I want to tell you guys about this game and the experience of playing it, but we have to abide by all the official embargoes. So we're going to let CD Projekt kind of run you through this and give you details on this game. Before we get to that, I can talk a little bit more about Summer Game Fest, which this is all a part of. And if you watch one of these streams before, this is what I'm doing through the end of August, although we're getting very busy with stuff on the Game Awards this year and whatnot, which we'll talk about more probably later this summer, but working very hard on Game Awards, and everyone's wondering what we're doing there. And we're definitely working very hard on a plan to bring you guys Game Awards in December, and it's going to be, I think, looks like it's going to be a pretty good show, although these things always change. And obviously we're unsure about the state of the world right now, where everything's going to be, so that's something that we are certainly looking forward to kind of sharing with you guys later this year. Summer Game Fest is going to continue through the rest of the summer. This is kind of, I guess, the halfway point. I was thinking about it last night, actually, and it feels like we're sort of at the halfway point now for Summer Game Fest, and that we've been through a lot of the sort of really big projects with some of the bigger publishers, and we're 2 months in. Now we get into July, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. We know that Xbox is going to have a big event that's going to be coming up in July to reveal the first gameplay of Halo Infinite. We also know that Ubisoft's going to have an event a little bit earlier in July, on I think the 12th is the date, or 11th or 12th, so they'll be doing theirs. The Xbox date, we don't really know when that's going to be. Could pop up at any time, I guess, but they've said it's going to be happening in July. And then, there's a lot of other things definitely coming in July that I'm aware of that haven't been announced yet, so I think you'll see a lot more in July. And then in August, of course, we've got the big Gamescom opening night live event that is going to be happening on August 27th, which is going to be really big, and we're working extremely hard on that as well with some pretty big games that I think you'll be excited about inside of that. So the summer is going to... the other thing I'll say is, I think we're going to see more publishers do things on specific games. So we've seen kind of the big, corporate presentations like what EA has done, but I think just like what we did with, Crash Bandicoot back on Monday, I think you'll see individual games have moments as well throughout the summer, which will be really cool. Like this is just on one game, but it's a massive game, which is Cyberpunk. So I think you'll see more of that, and maybe announced games, but they're going to show you more on that, and there'll be much more happening kind of throughout July and August as we count down into what's going to be a pretty big end of the year with these new consoles coming out and tons of big games. And there are also big games coming out. Ghost of Tsushima is coming out in mid-July, which I'm excited. Haven't played that yet, but I'm excited to check that out soon, and so much more happening. So I think it's going to be a really fun rest of the summer, but certainly one of the most anticipated games is Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt Red, and we're all hoping it's going to hit that November date. I think today we're going to see a lot more of the game. Obviously, people have seen it, but this Night City Wire report, from what I've heard, is also going to be sort of the first Night City Wire report, and there will be more. So I I think what we're going to see again is companies not just doing one thing and going dark, but we'll probably hopefully hear more on Cyberpunk now leading up to November. And it is, without giving much away, it is a very big game with a lot of lore and world building and content to check out. So I think you guys will be happy to see what they have today, and then there'll be much more to share afterwards. So we're about 3 minutes away from this going live. With these things, I always feel like I'm going to kind of co-stream it, but I also want to just like watch it with you guys, so I'm not going to like heavily commentate on it, but we're going to go right into my impressions afterwards. So, you know, if you want something completely clean, you can watch their feed, but you can watch along. I'll probably make a couple comments during it, but I'm not going to, you know, we're not doing a talk show over top of it. I really want to, because I haven't actually seen this, so I'm really curious, having played the game, what they're going to show of what I played, what else I'm going to be able to share afterwards. I know the footage that I'm going to get to show you after, but I don't know what they're going to include in here. And will there be any news? I know there's certainly like one really cool feature of the game that I don't think they've talked about yet, that is really interesting, and I got to play, and I think they're going to hopefully talk about it in this Night City Wire, and then I'll get to expand on it a little bit when I talk about my play session with it. So we will see kind of what CD Projekt has in store for us here, but definitely, as I said, one of the most anticipated games. You know, we know it's going to look great. I think everyone wants to know how does it play. And even though we've had it, you know, at E3 the past couple of years, normally I also work on the E3 awards, and Cyberpunk has never been eligible for the Best of Show because we have to be able to play it. And even though we've seen 2 amazing demos, it's always been something where the CD Projekt guys have always sort of played it themselves, and they've let us see it, but we haven't been able to really go hands-on. So that changed finally with us getting a chance to go hands-on and kind of experience it ourselves. So that is what we are going to do, is talk about the hands-on experience of playing it. Bunch more footage that we'll have coming out of that as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty fun morning. So this event will run, I think they're saying around 25 minutes or so, half hour, and then we'll go right into kind of talking about my experience playing the game. And I'll try and answer some of your questions as well. I'm sure you guys have lots of questions, so hit me on chat, on Twitch or YouTube, or at reply me on Twitter. That's probably the best way to sort of get in touch with me, and then we'll be able to kind of roll through it and see what these guys have in store for us. So it's definitely going to be I think a pretty fun thing. We're about 50 seconds away now from the whole event going live, so we are going to watch it with you guys, and then, as I mentioned, come back afterwards and give everyone a chance to sort of experience whatever the CD Projekt Red guys have in store for us, which I think will be, again, can't say much, but I think it's going to be a pretty exciting afternoon in terms of what they're able to share with us. So, again, we will go through it here. We're about 20 seconds away from the event going live, so we are really excited to show you guys Night City Wire from CD Projekt Red, and we will check this thing out live here with the guys from Cyberpunk. So get ready. We are going to go live to the event here and see what they have in store for us. Enjoy all things Cyberpunk from CD Projekt Red. Here we go.
What's happening? There we go.
Developers will be joining us to help unpack everything you're going to see. We'll have some news, an announcement about a secret collaboration. We'll be taking a look at some brain dance gameplay and welcoming back our developers just to have a chat about everything you're going to see. But there is one more thing. Media all over the world have been getting hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077, and when this episode finishes, you'll be able to go and check out exactly what they thought.
Okay.
So, let's get started. It is time to take a look at our brand new trailer, and after that, our lead quest designer, Pavel Sasko, will be joining us, because I've got a feeling you're going to have a few questions after watching this. So, let's take a look.
I love this town. A city of endless opportunity. Ready to get your cherry popped? Yeah, come on. City like any other, just bigger. Nah, mano, not just any other city. Legends are born here. The Major Leagues. We're only here because Dex is pulling the strings. Doubt that puts us in the same league as them. But we are. They just don't know it yet. But if you got the cojones and you know how to use them, you can do damn near anything. Unless you catch a bullet. Even then, you go out with a bang, right? You know, you can make heaps more. How about we go over the plan?
There's this prototype tech, a biochip to be precise. Job to grab it.
Guess it belongs to a port.
Arasaka.
We're robbing some heavy hitters.
Thought you could blackmail me, fucker?
High risk, high reward. First rule of the afterlife.
Ka-ching, baby.
Goes without saying, we do this on the hush. Ideally, no bodies, not a one.
Sounds simple enough. He's lit, assholes!
Is it gonna be dangerous?
Don't you worry, mi amor. We're bulletproof. Your ass moving now!
What the fuck just happened in there?
Can't stop digging Night City. Fucking Major Leagues. Happy now, Jackie? Get up! That's fucking high! And the bail!
Oh my god, we're so fucked.
Dex, what the fuck?
Game is could be.
And you. Who are you? Fuck.
So the trailer contains footage from the game's prologue only, but there was an awful lot in it. So, Pavel, why don't you try and help us unpack everything that we just saw?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, I can try. So, what you have just seen is only the prologue of the game. Happening in the first few quests. What the trailer shows you is really our stage, the Night City. You know, this gigantic city built of 6 completely unique one that we call the
this stream is so
As a player, you are meeting Jackie. Jackie's your friend. Now, they together are trying to reach out for something that is very precious. They're trying to reach out for this chip of immortality, this gateway to eternal life. Jackie introduces you to Fixer Dexter Deshawn. He's a very important person in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. He is able to provide the player with various jobs and contracts to be able to gather money, to be able to modify their bodies, push themselves to the limits, to put their hands on the chip. But as you can expect, not everything goes as planned. And but to see it, you have to play the game.
There are an awful lot of really cool things in this trailer, and there's a few that I would just love to talk about a little bit more for the people at home. So let's start with talking about a gang called the Mox. Now, we see a few flashes of them in this trailer. I personally think they're really cool and one of my favorites, but can you give us a little bit more information about them?
Oh, yes. So the Mox is one of the gangs that player is going to interact with throughout the game. The Mox is the gang that has been formed in 2076 after death of Elizabeth Borden. She was called Lizzie. Now, she was an owner of a brothel and former sex worker, and she was protecting working guys and girls from harassment, from abuse, and the gang is really continuing her mission. And as a player, you are going to interact with that gang, meet multiple different NPCs, and craft your own relationship with them, and understand what they're all about.
So earlier on, you did mention a 7th district, a place called the Badlands. Now, we saw a few shots of this in the trailer, but I'd love for you to give us a bit more detail about the district outside of the city walls.
Okay, so the Badlands is this like dead, dried out space going around the whole Night City. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse that space in your car or motorcycle. This is a space that is inhabited by the nomads. Nomads are living in different families, and they are traveling across that space in convoys made out of the cars and motorcycles. And as a player, you'll be able to traverse and access different type of open world content that has been prepared specifically for you to get that awesome feel of the Badlands as an area.
In the trailer, we also saw like a completely metal creature. Now, he didn't look like he was from the Maelstrom gang. This looked like something else. So please tell the people at home, who is this giant metal monster?
Okay, so So the big dude, that was Adam Smasher. He has been introduced in pen and paper in Cyberpunk 2020.
Again.
By our senpai Mike Pondsmith. Adam Smasher is a fully converted cyborg. He was always a loyalist of Arasaka. 7, he had to find his own space in Night City, but to find out, you'll have to play the game.
In this trailer, we do see some flashes of a Ripper Doc called Victor Vector. I think if people have watched our previous gameplays, they might remember him. But I'd really like for you to give the people at home some more information about what Ripper Docs are and how they'll be interacting with them when they play Cyberpunk.
So, Ripper Docs in our game, they are surgeons. They are like a specific type of a job in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. They are accustomed and specialized in replacing limbs to the metal ones. They can basically update your body, enhance your body, change you into this walking war machine. And as a player, you are going to meet different kind of Ripper Docs in the game, craft your own relationship with them. Some of them are like important characters for a story. Through that, you will invest eddies that you're gathering to turn your body into this tool that allows you to survive on the streets of Night City.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining us. I know you'll be back later in the episode because you're going to be helping us to analyze the Braindance gameplay. But before that, we do have some new share. Earlier in the year, we announced that if you pick up Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox One, you'll be able to play it on Xbox Series X when the console launches, and players as well. If you pick up Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4, you'll also be able to play it on PlayStation 5 when the console launches. And that's not all. There will be a free upgrade for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, but we'll have more details on that soon.
To Night City.
Before we reveal our first look at the Braindance gameplay and welcome back our developers for a chat, there is just one more thing we want to announce. Something that we've been working on in secret for a while. We are very excited to announce our partnership with Studio Trigger and Netflix to bring you Cyberpunk Edgerunners, a standalone anime set in the Cyberpunk universe, which we've been working on for some time now. Edgerunners is due to launch in 2022, but for some more information, let's go to the team in Tokyo.
3 years away.
Hi, my name is Saya Elder. I am the Japan-based producer for Cyberpunk Edgerunners. What I do basically on this project is that I am a fixer, to put it in the words of the Cyberpunk universe. We are a game company. We are a bunch of nerds, and wherever there are nerds, there's going to be anime fans. So it was always a dream for us to make anime. When we began this project, we were certain that we didn't want to make a recreation of the game. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a standalone story set in the same universe. The stage is still Night City, but everything else is totally new. New characters, new story. I do like to think that it's going to be a great gateway for newcomers to come and check Cyberpunk game and also the Cyberpunk genre as a whole. Right now we're in Nakano, which is one of the biggest anime meccas of the world. I'm going to take you to Studio Trigger right now because we have the wonderful opportunity to talk to the dream team that will be bringing you this anime.
こんにちは。トリガーの代表取締役の大塚です。
監督の今石です。キャラクターデザインを担当する吉成です。ゲームのサイバーパンクのファンの方、今回初めて触れる方両方に満足していただけるようにアニメを作るつもりです。よろしくお願いします。
今回はそのサイバーパンクという僕らが10代の、一ファンしか過ぎなかった頃に生まれたジャンル、そういうジャンルのものをまた、時代が何周もして作れるというのが非常に楽しみです。
トリガーも10年ということで、監督に今石、キャラクターデザインに吉成というトリガーの最強の布陣で、トリガー10周年にふさわしい作品にしていきたいと思います。お楽しみに。
Now it is time to show you some gameplay of Braindance. This is a feature that you'll experience when you play Cyberpunk 2077. Braindance is essentially a recording of somebody else's experience. It allows you to relive their sense of sight, smell, touch, and even hearing, all thanks to a special device. After the gameplay, I will be welcoming back Pavel Sasko, and will also be joined by Patrick Miller, and all-round lore master, who will be helping to answer your questions and give you some explanation on how you'll be interacting with Braindance when you play Cyberpunk 2077. Take a look.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
And remember, everything on full blast. They'll spot us extra for a wicked adrenaline high. Okay, on you go.
Down, everybody, on the ground. Want to see you kissing the flooring. Money, now, or I will fucking drop you, I swear to God. Well, yeah, hey, now, before I blow your fucking head off.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened. You're alive and well.
That was too much. Could feel the guy's pain, his stress, his hope. Hope wrapped up in something else.
Mm-hmm. Probably took a booster just before. You'll be fine. Got everything set up? Let's switch over to editing mode.
I'll sever the link to the BD Roller's sensory array. You'll be able to look around freely. All scene's yours. Full cam control in analysis mode, so move around, zoom in and out, whatever else you come up with. Think of it as your own little sandbox. So, analysis mode, you control playback. Can even pause when you feel the need. Then you use the editor console to unpause. Try it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And we sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
Dream is hell, right? Well, that's not all. You can speed things up or rewind, whatever you like. Give it a try. Rewind. Roll it back to the top. Ah, good. Neat. Now try fast forwarding a bit.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out.
Okay. You can also reset the recording. That'll take you right back to the beginning. Try it. Now for some fun. This here's why you came in the first place. In analysis mode, you get to view and even scan details of the enviro recorded by the BD Roller. Focus on the heat, the gun this skunk gets from his buddy at the beginning. Now scan it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. And sell the BD to those psycho freaks. And remember,
okay, right here. Excellent. Let's move on. Now heads up. In analysis mode, you can ferret out background noise and conversations if the roller got close enough. This tech records everything, every little detail, even the sights and sounds the roller was never aware of. To see the sources of the recorded sensory signals, switch to the audio layer in the editor. Go ahead and try that now. Okay, good. Now you should see several sound signatures in the store. Choose one and hone in on it.
Pack of 6, case of Brosif, and a couple of zappers.
Okay, we have a deal today on 2 flavors, curry and serpent. Everybody!
So, any thoughts?
Unbelievable. Seriously, like what's happening right next to me.
Yeah, it's how BD recording implants work. They pick up everything, all the elements in the background. Then an editor tweaks them, makes them pop. Keep playing with the sound, explore it a bit. We'll move on when you get bored. Sometimes you can analyze extra layers in the raw, stuff the roller's cyberware picked up.
Like what?
Ev's got Kiroshi optics that grab infrared, meaning you should be able to grab heat signatures from her recording.
Huh. Hella nice.
Scanning works on peeps, too. Walk up to the wounded chick. Try scanning her. Alright, next thing. Scroll forward to the part where our artist gets a lead injection.
We'll fucking drop you, I swear to God! Well, now, fucking head off!
See that? They shot him and he never saw it coming. But you will. Here it comes. My favorite part of the game. See the blinking thing over the entrance? Surveillance cam. Must have caught our shooter. You'll see in a sec. Cam feeds to the screen behind the clerk. Roll back to where the screen's in the kid's field of vision, then scan it. His own Chumba shot him. Probably planned to all along. Must have got a nice slice of cred on the black market for a BD like this. BD freaks are ready to pay a preem for a real flatline. Anyway, if you've seen enough, you can exit.
Yeah, it's impressive, right? It's too bad most of the BDs we do here are only good for flogging the log.
So Braindance is a pretty big part of the Cyberpunk universe. It's not just something used for adult films. There is an awful lot to it. And there's two sides I'd really like you guys to help me explore. First is the lore, so how this actually fits into the universe. And then there's the gameplay side, so how players will be interacting with it. So Patrick, could you tell us more about the lore of Braindance?
I would love to. So in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, Braindance was invented way back in the early 2000s at UC Santa Cruz. It was developed as a way of recording a person's experiences and then playing them back for someone else so that they could relive them as though it was happening to them. It was originally used for things like therapy and prisoner rehabilitation, but by 2077, it's become this global media industry, including things like movies, mass entertainment, things like that, video games, some interactive things, and of course, adult fare as well. Now, in our game, we deal a lot with black brain dances, or XBDs as we call them, and there are different types of those, but the one that you saw in the trailer just there was a flatliner. Now, that's where the person recording it actually dies during the recording, and it's popular with sort of an illicit kind of a thrill, but a mercenary can also use them for various things, and you'll see that in the game, of course.
And from the gameplay perspective, we have been working a lot throughout last years trying to figure out the best way how to use the Braindance in the game as a mechanics. So what we have settled on is this Braindance editor mode. As a player, you will be able to run the Braindance in the editor mode and see different clues that have been registered on the peripheral of given actor. Now, as a player, you can slide on the timeline of the recording back and forth, trying to uncover different clues. And that clues are actually telling a story in the game. So as a player, you will run different investigations that will lead you to different mysteries, and you will uncover them actually using the Braindance as a mechanics in the game.
So as Pavel was saying, we use Braindance as a storytelling tool. It's not a collectible. It's not something where you're going to go in and you're going to play it and you're going to be like, I've seen this before. What we use Braindance for is to give you a keyhole into the life of the residents of Night City. And we can explore things like childhood trauma, religion, various philosophical ideas in a way that you might not otherwise experience in a story about a mercenary on the tough streets.
So we've tried to talk about some of the aspects that we think the community will find really exciting, but while you're both here, I'd love to know, what is it about Cyberpunk that you guys are really excited for? Patrick, why don't you start?
So one of the things that I'm most excited about in this game is the characters and the way they interact with the world. We've got this really interesting world that stretches all the way back to the Cyberpunk 2020 source material and all of these events and all of those things, but those don't mean anything unless they connect with characters. And so when we come up with a character, we start with their function. What is this person? what do they do in the story? But we don't stop there. We go back and we figure out what was their childhood like? What was their upbringing like? What kind of obstacles did they face in this harsh reality? And did they overcome them? And how did they overcome them? Or did they not overcome them? And why? And you can see all of those things in their environment, in their dialogues, in sort of how they operate in the world. And we come up with that for all of our characters. Now, you look at someone like Victor Vector, and you're going to see stories about his past in his environment and in his dialogue. You know, we come up with that stuff even if we don't use it in the game, because it helps inform us as to who these characters are.
And for me, I would not be myself if I would not say that I'm the most excited about our quests. Like with our Witcher 3 team, with Patrick and like everybody that has stayed with us since the Witcher 3 time, we really have grown so much. We have learned so much, and we have used all that experience to put them into the quest that we have made. And you will not find really a filler in this game. Like everything has a meaning. Like we put so much effort into making sure that everything is rewarding, is interesting, is talking about characters, as Patrick said, is talking about worlds, is talking about emotions, like touching the player in a really, like a real way. And I just can't wait to find out what you think.
Pavel, I know you mentioned story and quests and writing quests, and when I was last in the studio, I had a look and I saw a notebook on your desk, and I would love for you to show everybody this notebook.
Okay, well, yeah, you asked for it. So this is my notebook. It says Salsa Quest Designer. The reason is because I dance salsa, and I'm a quest designer, so you know. So I started this notebook actually when we were really starting Cyberpunk. At the very beginning, I wrote like a first note, and it says pretty much something along the lines of that we were starting with a prototype. And then, you know, I kept on basically noting things that we've been working on for like next years. I remember once when our concept artists actually approached me, and they said that they want to take a look at my notebook. I was like, what for, actually? And they took some pictures, and they told me, yeah, well, you know, because we are looking for a reference material for notes of a psychopathic killer. so yeah, well, you may find maybe some of my notes in the game.
Pavel and Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. I'm pretty lucky because I have read some of the stories that you and the team have written for Braindance, and I'm pretty excited for people to discover them. But before we do finish today's episode, there is just one more thing we'd like to talk about. Earlier in this episode, I mentioned that media have been getting hands-on with the opening of Cyberpunk 2077, and they should be posting their impressions right about now. And if you missed anything from today's episode, don't worry, we'll be uploading everything to our channels very soon. And finally, on behalf of everybody at CD Projekt Red, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this very first episode of Night City Wire. But don't worry, we'll be back with episode 2 in just a few weeks. So, we shall see you soon.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the stream. So,
we're
going to stop here, but we'll be back in a few weeks to check out the second
Night City Wire
show.
Guys, this is going to be
Thanks
hard.
for tuning in, guys.
We're going to have to wait 5 minutes for me to tell you what it's like playing Cyberpunk 2077. I got to be official. It's 9:25, and we got to wait till 9:30. But what did you guys think?